O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Good morning, boys and girls. Time to rock and roll on a beautiful Friday. I hope you all are doing well. It's an awesome Friday because Bitcoin's about to hit 31,000. I bet you it hits 31,000 before I'm off the air today. Well, I don't know if it's air anymore. What is this, air? No, but whatever. You know, whenever we finish the show, because you know it's we finish whenever we finish on this show sometimes. But yeah, we will be looking for it because it's at 30,770. It's gotten up to 30,900 and like 30 or 50. So it's about to hit 31,000. So getting excited, baby. Getting excited. Yeah. We'll be headed to 40 soon and 50. And you're welcome. Those of you that have taken that ride with me. Huh? By the way, what happened to all those smartasses? With Bitcoin going to be a Ponzi scheme, going to go to zero, going to go down to $8,000. Like, where are they? I always love that. See, if I'm wrong, I'm here the next day. I'm here. I'm right here in front of you telling you what went on, what did I do, why am I wrong? Don't you love those other people? They're lost. They're completely lost. The typical cowards that they are. But I've been doing this for 30 years, so I've been dealing with cowards for a long, long time. So it's all good. As I always say, nobody's tracking what you're saying, so you can go out and say whatever you want. I'll remember some names, and I'll have my fun on people like Ken Sean and Tremolio, but just. Like, it's funny because there was a whole bunch of you out there talking shit about, Bitcoin, and you've all disappeared now all of a sudden. And some of you are being enlightened and educated and realizing that what I was telling you is 1,000% correct. But that's all right. And some of you are probably still not believing. And that's all right, too. You'll pay the price eventually, and you'll regret every single day for not getting on the Bitcoin ride with us. But anyway, so we got a lot of things to talk about today. Will we enjoy a victory cigar tonight? Will it happen tonight? Will we enjoy a victory cigar? Will the Marlins beat the Diamondbacks? Because I have no hope that the Heat are going to beat the Bulls. Okay. So if I'm lighting up a victory Perdomo cigar, well, it's probably going to be the Marlins at the end of the night that, hey, the Marlins won. Let's work it up. Yeah, light up that victory cigar. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I have no hope for tonight. My God. We'll talk to Ira Winderman at 10:40, but I have zero hope for tonight. I'm sorry. It's hard. And to me, the 5.5 points that the Heat are favored, I'm not betting against the Heat because I don't do that. But I've told you all throughout the last couple of months. I've told you every time. If you don't mind betting against your team, or if you're not a Heat fan, this is an easy bet. You take the Bulls plus 5.5. Easy bet. Okay? Easy bet. I think the Bulls win tonight. I think the Heat look at this, and I think even Jimmy looks at this and says, I got to carry these guys. And so what do? I bust my ass to then go get embarrassed by the Bucks? And let me tell you, the attitude around the Heat Nation right now is, I'd rather lose for a lottery pick than go to the playoffs and get thoroughly embarrassed by the Bucks. Because that's kind of what the Heat Nation is feeling, that they have no shot against the Bucks anyways. So instead of the embarrassment, bro, just miss the playoffs and get into the lottery. You probably won't win it, but hey, what happens if you get lucky and you end up in the number one or the top three? Just getting the top three for the Heat would be actually something of value. You know what I'm saying? Knowing them, they would probably get the top 3 pick and then trade it for Shabazz Napier or something. Because now Shabazz Napier is 35 years old, right? So he's now old. We can now trade for him. So I'm just, they got to make better decisions, man. They got to make better decisions. And it's going to take a couple of years, okay, to fix this mess. So Riley screwed himself now. He can't go to, is it Long Beach? right? Or not Long Beach. It's what's the beach we're always talking about over in California that he goes to? Whatever. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So before he gets to go retire at that beach in California, which I don't. Rouse, you got to want to retire here, bro. California, dude. Malibu? Is it Malibu? Is that the one? I don't think it's Malibu. Too extreme. I think it's another one, bro. I think it's another one. Well, it doesn't matter either way. But it's just that's the attitude right now. That a lot of Heat fans are, they're nervous about tonight. And for me, I'm like, I'm terrified about tonight that I'm going to watch it like, that's like I'm afraid. Like this has been a disaster of a season. And these guys can't play the kind of basketball you need them to, advance. I'm afraid that you'll get a disconnected team and not only lose. Remember, 2 of their 3 losses they were 0-3 against the Bulls. 2 of the 3 losses were in double digits. And that's what I'm afraid of, that this is going to be a Bulls blowout. That's really what I'm afraid of. I don't know how Vegas makes Miami favored by 5.5. I really have no idea on that one. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But tonight, 7:00 TNT, Heat favored by 5.5. Over and unders 208.5. Bulls are plus 185 on the money line, and Heat minus 215. I would take the Bulls plus 5.5, and I would take the money line with the Bulls. That's just me. If I felt like betting against the Heat and make some money so I can buy like some easy Bitcoin with it, that's what I would do. My suggestion is, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own homework. But, if I felt, like I wanted to make an investment tonight, I put a little money on 5.5. And I put half the money that I put on 5.5 on the money line. And then when I win both bets, I then use that money and buy Bitcoin right away. That's it. So then I win, and then I buy Bitcoin and I watch it double and triple. That's all. That's just me, but what can I tell you? Lisa Rose says, look at Bitcoin rise. Up, up, and up. She knows it. She knows it. She's got guts. Lisa's like me. We weren't afraid. We bought all the way down. While a bunch of you wussies, oh, no, it's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. Exactly. But if you have conviction and balls, big brass ones, you keep buying. You don't fold like a cheap tent. You're about to double your money. Those of you that bought it at 16.5, it'll be at 33 very soon. Maybe right by next week, it might be at 33. You'll be doubling your money already in a couple of months. That's pretty sick. Okay? It's pretty sick. It's not as sick as, as injected protocol that I've been telling you about for several months. It's up over 300%, but, still pretty good. Well, injected protocol, man. God, that's been wow. Those of you that went on the injected protocol ride with me, you are freaking loving it, bro. Knight is in with a super chat. He says NFL actually retweeted the video of Tua throwing. Tua throwing what? Tua throwing. I don't know what that means, Knight. Just Tua throwing what? Was he at practice or something, or at one of Nick's practices or training sessions or something? No idea what that means, but thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I still don't know crap about crypto or how it works. Well, too extreme. You got to take some time to learn. That's the problem. And you better learn It's the it's going to be all your lives. You will have to use crypto. Listen to me. You will have to use crypto. Guaranteed. You will pay your electricity bill. You will buy a car. You're going to buy a house. You're going to travel. You're going to eat. You're going to buy coffee at Starbucks. You're going to save money. You're going to purchase things. You're going to buy a business. You're going to buy business products. You're going to loan out money. You're going to earn interest. There are so many things that are going to be done with it. It's going to be an entire part of your life. I keep telling you this. I've been telling you this now for a couple of years. Okay, it's now been 2 years that we've been doing this, 2 years plus now that I've been talking about crypto. And it's, you can fight it all you want, but it will be, don't listen to stupid people in our government that have no idea what's going on, or people that are too old and they don't want to adjust, right? Just like we all have old parents and old grandparents, and they never got email and they never got really good on a phone because they're too old and they don't want to adjust, they don't want to learn, or maybe they're at a point where they can already. Okay, and there's lots of people like that. But the rest of you that are younger than that, you better freaking adjust. I'm telling you. And then it's too late, and then you're gonna, as I've said before, you're gonna go, that crazy son of a bitch told me months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago about this, and I never listened. And 2-3 years from now, when mass adoption's taking over and it's becoming a part of everybody's lives, you're going to go, damn, dude, he was right about that. So take your time and learn about it, because it's going to put you in a much better position in the future. We got a crap storm coming on the financial side, and you better be prepared for it. I'm just telling you. So Josh Sackett says it's a good day, Big O. Metallica's new album is out. 72 Seasons, baby. Seven Dust released a new single. Yeah, Seven Dust is coming to. They're going to have a listen party. Actually, they have the tickets. Let me see. Let's see where it's at. I know I have it here because my buddy sent it to me. And Dream Theater, by the way, too. Dream Theater is coming. So tickets go on sale April 14th, 10 a.m. That's today. So what's it called? Okay. All right. What else? Where is this one? Seven Dust listening party in Orlando. And it's going to be June 23rd. Okay. I am not going to that. My buddy is going to go to that. But there is a listening party in Orlando on the 23rd of June. So if you're a Seven Dust fan, you can go check that out. What else do we have going on? Big O, FAU cheer team won national title in cheerleading. Nice. Good for them. Good for them. Big O, I guarantee you after the Heat lose tonight, the stupid talk will start that Spo may have lost a step in coaching instead of seeing that this team can't do nothing with overrated players. Yeah, exactly. But that's how it goes. And I love Riley, and I love the Harrison family. Don't want them going anywhere. That's your problem right there. Those two gentlemen have to pick up their game. Okay? If they want to win a title, then go get title-like players. Stop screwing around and stop penny pinching, and stop settling for players that are not the guys that you used to bring in. So that's the real problem. The problem is that we don't have, and it's not as simple as like what you mentioned. Oh, Spo lost a step, or, let's get rid of Pat Riley. No, I'm not doing that, dude. I'm not doing that. Pat Riley has earned the right to stay here, to do whatever he wants. And if it's great when he does great, right? It's awesome. We love it. We enjoy it. So when things don't go as planned, That's the problem. That's why some of you couldn't buy Bitcoin at 16,500, because you have no gumption, you have no chutzpah, you have no balls, you have no character. You fold like a little bitch and a cheap tent. When things go wrong, you cry and you just want to fire the guy that brought you 3 titles, a ton of Hall of Famers, and all kinds of winning. Shame on you. You're a disgraceful fan. Okay? Pretty simple. If you just want to get rid of Pat Riley, you're a fucking embarrassment to our fan base. Are we clear on that? We did the same shit to Shula. Some of you are too young, so you didn't live it. Some of you are too stupid to realize it. And everybody that came after Shula still wasn't better than Shula on their worst days. On his worst day, I'm sorry. So I'm sticking and I'm staying with my wingman, but I'm not a bullshitter. Riley has to do better, and so does Mickey Arison. I don't want the family to sell the team, and I don't want Riley to go anywhere. I ride and die with Riley, but I will point out Riley has lowered his standards. Riley has to do better, and we have to call that out. But to me, it's disgusting when I see people, oh, you want to just fire Riley. It's shit we did to Shula back in the day. And I just think it's gross. You know, I really do. It shows that you're ungrateful. You're a terrible fan. That's all. You suck as a Heat fan. I personally think you should never root for the team again if you want to fire Riley. That's how I feel. You fire people that are incompetent. You fire people that don't produce. So Riley's in a little bit of a lull, which means you either get in the playoffs or barely get in or whatever. And then I hear, oh, let's fire Riley. You ungrateful pieces of shit. Let's just be honest, bro. Brutally honest. Because nobody can be brutally honest with you people out there sometimes. Whether radio or television or writing, they're stuck with politics and corporations and shit like that, and they can't tell you honestly what's going on sometimes, or honestly what you're saying. And honestly, if you want to fire Riley, bro, you're a disgrace. Seriously. All right, let's get to Cam Wolf, baby. Let's unleash the Wolf Pack like we do here on the program.
We unleash the Wolf Pack as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolf.
All right. Right, Cam? I'm right, Cam, right? It's pretty disgraceful, any Heat fan that says, because, they're having a down year. Oh, fire Pat Riley. He's lost it. The guy that's brought you 3 titles and winning season after winning season and 400 division titles and like 6 trips to the finals. And no, let's fire him because, we can produce those guys all the time.
Yeah, people get spoiled with success, right? And so you think that this is the way it should be all the time when there's probably 25, 26 other teams who have had it a lot worse than you over the last 20 years, And so, yeah, I think the Heat have been a top 5 basketball organization probably since I've been alive. And there's not really, I don't really see an issue. I think Pat Riley's earned the right to stay as long as he wants to be in basketball, Yeah, once he retires, that's it to me.
Yeah, bro. We did it to Shula, dude.
Yeah.
I'm old enough that I was on the radio. We did it to Shula.
Right.
And then all the guys that came after Shula weren't better than Shula on his worst day. And we got to a point, Cam, where we listen to this shit. 10-6 isn't good enough. Getting to the playoffs is not good enough. Shula has to do better. We got to get rid of him. The games passed him by. That's the
Right.
shit we were saying.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. Like I said, people get spoiled and get complacent with winning. I grew up, Eagles fan, and so it was a similar thing with Andy Reid there, right? He had won a bunch of games, but he struggled to get past the NFC Championship, and they were winning 12-4, but they couldn't win the big one. And so you fire them after their one bad year, and it ended up working out. They ended up winning their Super Bowl, but you see Andy Reid's bounce back, and the Chiefs picked him up like that, and now he's won multiple Super Bowls. And so, yeah, there's always the feel, the first guy, you're the hardest thing to do in sports is to go from good to great, and people take advantage, they take for granted the good part. The good, being good is a great thing for a franchise. There's a lot of teams, if you're trying to think, like, even from a football perspective, you could be a Cleveland Browns fan where, it's been plenty of misery. And so like a playoff season is feeling like, let's just call it what it is. Playoff season feels like a Super Bowl for them. Same for, look at like the Sacramento Kings, for example. It's been probably 15 years since Sacramento Kings have been relevant. They made the 4 seed this year, and I know Sacramento Kings fans, Marcel's one of them, have been celebrating like they won the championship. And I don't blame them, because you see so many years of despair that it feels like that when you have a great season. So for Heat,
dude, you're too young, but when the Browns had like Bobby Sipe and Ozzie Newsome and shit like that they were actually like a decent team, and Sam Rutigliano was the head coach, and they would make the playoffs, or with Bernie Kosar or something after that. It was like the greatest thing since sliced bread for Cleveland, just because they made the playoffs and all that, and they weren't necessarily a Super Bowl caliber team, but for them, since they haven't done anything since the 50s with Jim Brown and shit,
right?
It's like,
right. And I mean, the reality is Dolphins fans are probably similar in that boat too. I mean, like they made the playoffs last year, but for a while it's, hey, the glory days, and so if you have that peak, you feel like it's amazing. So yeah, no, the whole point is Riley should not be fired. I think people are taking for granted what he's done and the importance of winning in Miami. And so you take this where it is, you take it into the off season, you try to go star hunting again like Pat Riley always does, and he figures out a way to get a rabbit out of his hat, and you make your swing. And eventually there's going to have to be some sort of rebuild. The heat of a bull, make some swings with older talent like Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry. Eventually there's going to be some sort of rebuild, but this doesn't feel like it's it yet. And so I definitely think that Pat deserves the right to write his own ending.
Hell yeah, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him, bro, because that roster is not a good roster. They don't have a lot of pieces to trade. They don't have players that people want. It's going to be really hard to dig themselves out of this hole, but he's earned that right, to be able to do that. All right, so I've been asking the guys this, so I want to run this by you. And it's early now, so it's really hard to predict. So, perfectly, I'm putting you in a position to fail. Isn't that fun? Anyway,
that's often the case.
That's often the case. It actually is, yes. So we've got Hill and we've got Waddle. So we know they're going to get a boatload of balls, and then I'm sure the tight end's going to get some action, whoever they draft or whoever's on the roster and all that good stuff. Plus, I'm sure you'll throw some to the running backs. So when we start to look at the third wide receiver, will the third wide receiver be a third wide receiver, or will he be a situational player that we can use a little size in this place? So we'll use a Wilson and a Zukama. Let's use the shiftiness of a Berrios, whatever. In other words, you look at that wide receiving core, and Craycraft knows the position very well, and all of these guys, and Braylon Sanders is in the mix and all that. So you got all of these guys. Is there really a number 3 on this roster, or will Mike McDaniel use the number 3 receiver as a situational player, depending on where you're at on the field, the down, the distance, whatever, that he feels that player fits better? How do you think the number 3 receiver develops for the Miami Dolphins in the 2023 season?
Yeah, currently based off money, it should be Cedric Wilson, right? But
Right.
we saw last year he didn't have a lot. He didn't play well. It wasn't a great year for Cedric Wilson. Let's call it what it is. And he got overtaken by Trent Sherfield and even River Craycraft to an extent. This year, you get rid of Trent. You don't bring back Trent Sherfield. You hope that Eric Uzukama plays a little bit more, and those are your 3 and 4. But the thing about this offense is there's so much of a target share to Tyreek and Jalen. I think they probably had the 2 biggest target shares, like as a duo in the NFL last year because of who they are, right? And so, yes, the current NFL, the base offensive formation is a 3 receiver set. It's 3-by-1. That's typically the base offense. Just like on defense, your base defenses have 3 corners. You have a nickel corner, right? And so that player may not be quote unquote a starter, but they're playing 60-70% of the snaps. And so you need somebody to be proficient in that role, but you also need somebody who is okay if they're not getting targeted a bunch. My big question for this team is last year, obviously, you had to use a lot more 2 tight end sets because you had a Mike Gesicki, who's a specific role, and you got to use him as a big receiver. And then you got Durham Smythe, who's a little bit more of a traditional blocking tight end, right? This year, do you have an ability to play 1 tight end a lot more where you can have a guy who's more versatile and that you don't tell the defense when you're passing, when you're running based on who's on the field? And I think that would be the ideal situation, which would give them more opportunities to play and target that number 3 receiver. And so that to me is one of the more interesting elements of camp. Does it end up being Durham Smythe? Do they end up drafting a guy? If they do, can that player play in a 1 tight end set? Because I think they did a lot of 2 tight ends last year, and maybe they want to do a little bit less this year.
Yeah, and I think that the guy that they draft will be the kind of guy that they want, that McDaniel really wants. He's going to be a blocker and a pass catcher. So whoever it is, now how he contributes in the first year, that's the big question because young players, you just never know.
Tight ends are usually the toughest position to transition as far as offensive production in year 1. For rookies. And so it's very rare. Like Kyle Pitts is probably the only tight end that I can remember in recent memory that became a Pro Bowler in his first year. Whereas you see that a lot more often with, a receiver or a cornerback or even quarterbacks from time to time. That just does not happen for the tight end position.
That was Ryan's last year, right?
You said what?
Was that Ryan's last year or was he already with? Who did he play with 2 years ago?
Ryan Tannehill?
No, Pitts.
Matt Ryan. Yes, correct.
That was because he had a lesser year this year.
Yes, correct. Yes. Yeah, they targeted him less. They ran the ball a lot more. And so it was definitely a lesser year for Kyle Pitts this year. But his first year, I think he went over 1,000 yards and he ended up being a Pro Bowl receiver. So, but typically that is not the case for rookie tight ends.
All right. Again, put you in a position to fail. Who wins the nickel position? Kohu or Nick Needham coming back with the Achilles?
Interesting. So I got to know how healthy Nick Needham is. That's something that we don't know yet. If I've got 100,
you got to
I'll say that if I got 100% healthy Nick Needham, then I think that he's still the Nick Needham in the starting corner. Because
we have to prove that. Because if it's the other, then obviously Kohu wins.
Right.
So let's prove that Needham comes back healthy. You're
because I think the slot corner is a specialty role, right? Cater played really well last year, but most of his snaps were outside. And the assumption that he would just become the same player. Some guys are interchangeable. They can do that. Like Chris Harris Jr. was a guy who could play inside and outside just as well. But very few corners can typically do that at the same level. And so I've seen Nick Needham play really good slot corner. And so to me, he earns that slot corner role until proven otherwise. Now, Cater is going to definitely push for a lot more playing time because now he's in a situation where he can't start at outside corner because you got Jalen Ramsey. And so I'm sure he's spending a lot of time this offseason learning slot corner, spending a lot of reps there. And obviously he's a top guy off the bench on the outside corner. But if you're asking me today, I think that Nick Needham is your starting slot corner.
One play for you, young man. Baltimore Ravens, Kohu slot, Mark Andrews, eye up in the air. Kohu deflects that pass, I am going with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I think he has the explosiveness to play. I think
Right.
he has the hit to play the position. And so if he can play big with Mark Andrews, then I think he can play in the slot. So,
and I love Cater. And sorry, I'm going through a tunnel. Hopefully the audio is okay.
You know why I'm going to go Kohu also? It's hard to come back from an Achilles injury.
That's true.
That first year. So even if he's healthy, I don't know if he's going to be himself right away because it's only natural that
Absolutely.
it's a process. We're talking corner, and remember, we're talking slot.
Absolutely.
You got to be shifty.
Yes, you need that quick change of pace, and that's why I do think and I don't want to pick the middle ground. You asked me a question, so I gave you an answer. But I do think early you'll probably see both of them play a lot. That'll probably be the situation there, where they both play a lot of ball. And one other thing about this defense is obviously things are going to be interchangeable as far as players. And you got Jalen Ramsey, who's been a Swiss Army knife with the Rams, and so you could always move if you got a matchup like a Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. What if you go ahead and put Jalen Ramsey in man coverage or on him essentially, and move him inside, move him to a star position or a slot position or a safety position for that game, for especially matchup. And then you can still put Cater Kohu on outside corner. It gives you a little bit more versatility in what you can do in the scheme if you're Vic Fangio.
I'm with you there. Don't forget, you can follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolf. Cam, Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham. So we don't even know if it's going to happen yet because obviously Odell, said there's no assurances. Although it was kind of funny in the press conference when he shouted out to Lamar, "Hey, I would love to play with you." It's like, weren't you two at Club Live a couple of nights ago? Whatever. But anyway, over and under 7 touchdowns between the two.
I'm going to go over. Maybe I'm optimistic, but I do think that we'll see a version of Odell that's closer to what we last saw him in when he was himself in 2019. And that guy was 1,000+ yards, 6, 8, 10 touchdowns in the given year. And so I do think that he's going to be their number one receiver. Mark Andrews obviously is their tight end, but I do think that Lamar stays in the Raven, and I do think that they end up 8 or 9 touchdowns together.
Do they trade Devin White? Tampa doesn't want to trade him, but obviously Devin White doesn't be part of a rebuild. So what happens here?
Yeah, I think they make him play off the franchise tag. A lot of times these situations happen, and linebacker is kind of the running back of the defense, the inside off-ball linebacker. And so he wants to get paid at the top of that market. Sounds like $15 to $20 million a year. For you to be able to get value as the Bucs and get somebody to pay that contract does not seem realistic. And so rather than trading them for a 6th or 7th round pick, which probably would be what his market value is given the cost that he would cost, you keep him, you let him play out this year, and if you have to lose him, you can get a comp pick for him in a year. And so ultimately, I think they keep him and they make him play out his last year of his 5th-year option.
Man, they're going to have a big staff player all year long. None of these dudes ever like playing on the
5th-year option. Yeah.
What's the latest with Christian Wilkins? Will there be a contract this year?
Yeah, I think they value Christian Wilkins. They want a long-term deal done, but I haven't heard anything imminent in regards to a Christian Wilkins extension. So we're getting close to the draft. Obviously, that becomes the focus. And then a lot of times after the draft or even before training camp is when you have conversations again. So those would be the windows I would kind of look out for if there was going to be an extension before the season. Yeah, I had something caught. I had something caught in my throat. Sorry.
All right, so what's going to happen with Saquon Barkley, dude? Because it doesn't seem like he's going to sign the tender, which I don't blame him coming off a knee injury a couple of years ago, and you've had some injuries already. And you got to play on the aforementioned tag. I don't think you want to go practice and off-season workouts to put yourself even more at risk. So what happens with Barkley? Is he going to be forced to play on the tag, or will the Giants wait till after June to maybe do a deal with Saquon?
Yeah, it seems like a situation where they seem to be willing to force him to play on the tag. Like I said, the running back market is not great right now. You look at it right now, Saquon's making top 8 money in the running back market, and the Giants are like, hey, that's good. You're about, what you've been doing is about a top 8 running back. We're giving you that equivalent, and we don't have to commit more than 1 year, and they can play it year by year. Whereas, like you said, Saquon wants the security, and so I don't really see any urgency from the Giants to get a deal done. And I think this could probably be something where you see Saquon maybe holding out maybe the first week or 2, 3 weeks of camp, probably doesn't play in the preseason, and tries to make something happen. I just don't know that there's any reason why the Giants, unless they get a team-friendly deal, say, hey, we're going to give you this $20-30 million in guarantees.
It's amazing how the running back position is so the most interchangeable position in all of pro sports is that damn running back. It's crazy shit. All right,
he had 352 touches last year. He was essentially their whole offense, and they value paid 4 years, $160 million, 4 times as much money-wise. It just tells you the state of the running back market these days.
Yeah, and it was their way of both, because they couldn't do it the other way around. Tag one, give one guy the contract and then tag the other. They didn't think that was a combination. So really weird, man. See how it works out. I'm not a Daniel Jones guy. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolf and catch his work there at the NFL Network. Cam, have a great weekend. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. You too.
Thank you, sir. Here you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wolf, baby. That is our KSDT CPA Miami Dolphins and NFL report.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646. When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
Keep fans. Time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
There he is, locked and loaded and ready to go. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
You know, it's always odd, Big O. We talked about this even last year before the Celtics Game 7. when you're at this one point where you don't know if this season's over or not, it's sort of like no other day. I mean, am I flying to Milwaukee tomorrow? Am I doing player capsules and rounding up the season? Will there be hard questions after this one? Or honestly, Big O, are we just putting this on hold for another week? Because against Milwaukee, it's sort of like the Panthers against the Bruins. Are you just delaying the inevitable? But you know what? Playoffs is still fun. It's still good to get the national buzz, still to be out there. You know what? And playoff Jimmy. If you were to ask me, hey, Ira, give me a proposition on Heat Bucks, for example, I would say, can Jimmy win one game? That's what I'll be looking for. That would be what that series would be about. Can the Heat find a way to get a playoff victory that they couldn't 2 years ago against the Bucks? So it's sort of a time where I think you let everything play out and then you analyze afterwards because you know what? We'll have all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, plenty of time to analyze it.
Is this a team that is going to go out there and play with that kind of desperation tonight? Because if I'm Jimmy Butler, I've busted my ass for this team and I got to carry them constantly. And that's kind of been the case for a couple of years now. And I'm looking at the daunting task of taking on the Bucks, and yet you're 0-3 against the Bulls this year. And it's almost, if you're Jimmy Butler, you're almost like killing yourself to then get more embarrassed against the Bucks. So I'm wondering how much fight will this team have, and can the Bulls actually take the fight out of them with a quickness? Like if they get out early, does the Heat kind of lose interest early on and say, yeah, we are what we are this year, and we've been what we've been all year long? So I'm just wondering, because I don't know how much fight, how much desperation there truly is with this team at this point now.
As much as it pains me to agree with you and sort of change the tenor of the segment, I agree. I just don't see. You know what? It's interesting. The one thing we've always had as the constant of the Heat is the fight to the Pat Riley, the head in the bucket in Detroit, the every last breath. I don't see that this year. I think this is a team that individual players either had different goals than championship success, that there were divergent goals on this team, that players realized the veterans, the limitations, like sort of like Kyle and Jimmy, like, hey, we know the score. We've seen this game before. We know how it ends. Yeah, I agree with you, Big O. If it starts the way it did against Atlanta, I think you could see capitulation, sort of like the end of that 2006-2007 season, came back from the title, got shellacked by the Bucks on opening night, got to the end against the Bulls in the playoffs, had a game 4, and showed absolutely nothing against the Joakim Noah Bulls because they didn't have it. I am shocked. And we overstate that in sports, that a Miami Heat team could show such little resilience and resolve. I'm not sure that I've seen that many times. I would point to 2006, the end of the Antoine Walker era, and I would point to 2001 when Zoe came back late and they thought it could pull it together and they fell apart against Charlotte, and Pat Riley said, I need to go to coaching playoff school to find out what's wrong with this team. So I would say those are probably the other.
He threw them off because they were in a groove with Mason, and then you went back to the Zoe offense, and then that was a completely, and it took that got him discombobulated, put it that way.
Yeah,
and that one I don't blame. See, my problem here with this specific team right now is I don't see enough dogs, and that's my problem. I know what Shane Battier is going to do. I know what James Posey is going to do. I know what P.J. Brown is going to do. I know what Dan Marley is going to do. I can just go on and name the names.
P.J. Tucker. P.J. Tucker's another name you should throw in there.
Tucker is one of the recent ones. There was a quality of a player that it was different. They had an edge. And as much as Tyler is a fun player to watch, there is not a dog in him that he can then get physical.
I agree.
With you and do something defensively, and then Bam. Well, Bam, as I've always called him, a super role player, he started out the season trying to be that aggressive guy, but then that faded as the season went on, and so then you wonder, then it's not in your DNA, because if it's in your DNA, you're going to be Patrick Beverley no matter what, dude. No matter who's around you, you're always going to be Patrick Beverley. And to me, that's what Either you're wired that way or you're not. You're not going to take the son of a bitch out of Zoe. You're just not. Whether you like it or not, you're not going to take it out of him because he's going to bring that nastiness to the court every single night. And to me, I don't see a bunch of guys that Gabe Vincent doesn't show it to me. Lowry doesn't show it to me. Not anymore at this age. Bam doesn't show it to me consistently. There's not a lot of guys that I can actually point to and say, there are some dogs out there with Jimmy Butler. I'm only seeing Jimmy Butler as the dog, nobody else. And that's really ultimately my problem. And I think that's the problem in the front office. They have kind of gotten away from the kind of DNA and the player that they used to bring in. And it's just not the same caliber player, man.
Well, it's interesting. I wrote a column 2 weeks ago about now that Udonis steps aside, who steps in as leader. And I wrote that while it's not in his nature, and he tends to be off on his own with his own people, I thought Jimmy Butler had to be. And I got some pushback from people in the Jimmy Butler camp who said, whoa, Ira, this guy does everything for you already. This guy is the ultimate dog on the court. This guy is an every last breath guy leaning over the stanchion in the bubble against the Lakers. And now you want him to do this cartoonish thing about leading like Udonis? Enough. The guy does enough. But here's my problem, Orlando Alzagari. I agree with you. Bam Adebayo's ultimate goal this season was getting a lot of shots. And even after last game, and I swear I was going to smack myself in the face when he's sitting up there in the podium talking about how they have to get him the ball more. And I'm like, read the room here. Maybe not. Tyler. Yeah, exactly. Tyler Hero's ultimate goal was to start. He got to start. So when I look down this roster, if Kyle Lowry still had game, I do think he could push guys. He did for Toronto for a decade, but he's at a different stage of his career right now, and that's the problem. I don't see when Eric Spoelstra walks out of that locker room, and the only guy talking right now is someone who plays not at all in Udonis Haslem. There's not another player from the core rotation who goes, bring it in here, guys. LeBron still was that kind of player when he was there. You're right, Shane Battier had some of that on a more, say, intellectual level, but a different approach, but he had that. PJ Tucker last year, when Eric Spoelstra got into it with Jimmy Butler, was the one who sat in front of us and said, come on, guys. This is the NBA. We got this taken care of. We'll be fine. When they lost PJ, they lost some of that also. That one guy who could be the connective tissue leadership-wise can't be a coach. Coach gives a speech and leaves the locker room. Can't be a team president and Pat Riley. He sits on the end of the court, removed from players on game day. It has to be someone from within. And if you go player to player on this team, and you're going to them, is the single most important thing for you right now at this point in your life winning an NBA championship? I'm not sure out of besides Jimmy Butler, if there's a single player in the locker room who would answer yes. If the other players aren't worried about contracts because they're free agents, roles, all-star game. Bam wanted to be an all-star. That mattered most to him. Wanted to be defensive player of the year. You need the guy who gets him in the locker room, slams the goddamn door and goes, shut the F up. It's about winning. Tonight, it's about the Bulls. Let's not worry about the Bucks. Let's not worry about the summer. Big O, I get the sense that these guys are, and I hate to say it, because it's the harshest thing you could say as an NBA critic. I think these guys are halfway to Cancun.
I agree. That's what it looks like to me, because they look defeated because they can't go out and win and force it and impose their will. And just to add to your comment, when Bam is sitting there going, well, we got to figure out a way to get the ball to me more, the aforementioned Alonzo Mourning, you think Alonzo ever got to the podium at that point and said, no, dude, in the middle of the first quarter, he'll look over to people with that scowl and they'll all go, oh, shit, we better get Zoe the ball. That's all that had to.
But even more than that, I want to give you a different point here, Big O, because I know you like the historical perspective. When Glenn Rice was in the Heat locker room in his early seasons, at one point after a loss, he complained about not getting the ball enough. From the other side of the locker room in Miami Arena, Keith Askins came across the room and almost killed Glenn Rice because he didn't get it. Because the moment that Keith Askins arrived from Alabama to the Miami Heat, his thing was team, togetherness, and winning. And some players just don't always get that. And this reminds me of that moment also. And Jimmy can't be that. He's just not that guy. Jimmy has been on his own in Chicago. He embraced Dwayne Wade. They were a clique. Remember, there was a whole breakup at the Click, him and Rondo, batting heads. In Milwaukee, I mean, he tormented Karl Anthony Towns. When he later played him, he called him soft as baby, you know what? In Philadelphia, he mocked Tobias Harris. That's not who Jimmy is. Jimmy is an MFer on the court, but unfortunately, Jimmy's an MFer off the court also. That's just his abrasive personality. So your locker room leader can't also have an abrasive personality, so you accept him for what he is. But there are many, many non-Miami Heat types in this locker room. And this BS of hardest working, toughest minded, blah, 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 please buy the t-shirt. It didn't fit this team. It has some other teams recently, not this team.
No, because they don't have that DNA. And there's too many of those guys on this team. And that's my point with Riley, that he's got to get back to finding the SOBs. That's what he needs on this roster. And that's what Jimmy needed around him. He needed more SOBs. And, I'm really disappointed in Bam this year. I don't know how many, it's like either you're that or you're not. And you show that right away in the NBA. It's not a matter of, hey, in year 7, he became that guy. No, dude, it's usually within the first couple of years. So with Bam, what's going to happen with him? Like,
you know what, Big O? If I can interrupt you for a second, you know what Bam is? And there's nothing wrong with this in life. He's a soft-spoken gentleman. There's nothing wrong with that. You will have guests on who are soft-spoken gentlemen. They'll bore your audience. You're going, I need a little bit more. Same thing with Bam. He is a good person. He is a good son. He is a good gentleman. But this is an SOB enterprise. You need that. Look at the Bulls. The Bulls were wandering this year, and then that SOB, Patrick Beverley, who to this day claims that he will kill me one day, comes into the Chicago locker room, and everything changes. Because sometimes you need a bunch of that. We could see other teams that have lost in the playoffs that didn't have that, and that's a reason also. God bless Bam. He's a talented player. He's committed to defense. He's offensively skilled. He's a star. I don't think he's overpaid because everyone in the NBA is overpaid. But again, the difference between star and superstar is what defines championship teams.
So what happens tonight?
You know what? My heart says I think the Heat can pull it out because I keep expecting them to turn it on and having that moment. But you know what? When I saw the line of Heat 5.5, I said, if I had to bet my house, bet my family, bet something significant, I would take the 5.5 points. It's a crazy line.
I don't know. By the way, Vegas has been doing this for a couple of months now. And on our show here, we go against the Heat every time and take all the points, and you constantly win.
The Heat are minus 20 against the line this season, negative 20. They have lost against the line 20 more times than they have won. One of the best propositions in sports, which tells you everything, is betting against the Heat. But Vegas and the wise guys, just like Orlando, Alzagari, and Ira, keep talking about, well, it's got to change. There's got to be a moment. This season might just go off like it did 2 years ago against Milwaukee, where it never changes. And then you come on and you tell us they are what we thought they were.
Yeah. And by the way, it's disgraceful when I get people that say I want to fire Pat Riley. I mean, this
is not a Riley thing. It's not a Spoelstra thing. It's a roster thing. But
at the end, Riley has earned the right to fix it, to correct it, to do whatever he can to correct his problems, his decisions, whatever it is. And I get it. Look, we got a lot of young people. A whole generation has gone through since we last went through something like this. We did the same shit with Shula. And everybody that came after Shula wasn't better than Shula on his worst day. So what I would tell young Heat fans that are spoiled, rotten, okay, after a quarter century of exceptional, leadership, calm the hell down. Him and the Harrison family have earned the right to fix this mess, okay? But, this shit about, oh, no, the game's past Riley. But no, dude, we all make good and bad decisions. They've made a couple of bad decisions here. They don't make a lot of bad decisions in 25 years. Relax.
And you know what? And next season, the Damian Lillard Heat will be much better.
Oh, God. My problem with that one is I just think others will have better deals on the table and those kind of things.
Oh,
And
others have had better deals on the table for Jimmy, and the
you can
Heat
bring
did it.
Lillard here. Lillard and Butler will not have enough dogs around them to get it done too, and that's my other problem.
But you'll be dog squared instead of dog singular, and that alone will lift the team's outlook and ceiling.
Good math on your part. There you go. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heat and catch his exceptional work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He'll be drinking up a storm by the end of the night, writing up his story.
It's going to be really interesting Monday in our Accurate Pembroke Pines report, because I could be in one of two places. I could be calling you from the arena on Pack Up Your Locker Room Day and the final comments, or I could be calling you from Milwaukee after Game 1 against the Bucks and seeing what's going on. So you talk about a moment of the unknown. I mean, honestly, the way the Fort Lauderdale airport is so backed up, I have a backup plan of driving to Fort Myers tomorrow to fly to Milwaukee just to get out of here. So everything is up in the air.
You'll do everything to avoid the Miami airport is what you're saying.
No, believe me, I checked there also. There's no flights because they've shipped everyone from Fort Lauderdale to Miami. Right. There's nothing out of West Palm. So wave to me on Alligator Alley as I'm driving like half hungover from tonight. Not that kind of hungover, just tired. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, the next 24 hours in many ways will be defining and shaping the narrative of the 2022-23 Miami Heat. Does it matter enough for them to make it be a difference? We shall see.
We'll see what kind of heart and determination they have tonight. All right, follow them on Twitter at Ira Heat, and you got to subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support Ira and all the great writers there. Ira, have a great week and enjoy the basketball tonight.
Accurate Pembroke Pines Monday from somewhere. Thanks, Big O.
You got it.
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA Report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
All right. Don't forget, hey, tax season, man. We're here. Maybe you need an extension for your business. Maybe you need to file your personal taxes. Wherever you're at in the state, doesn't matter, man. Call the great people at KSDT. Use that QR code right there on the screen. And if you're listening on the podcast, 305-670-3370. They've got offices throughout South Florida, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. They're actually opening up an office in North Carolina. Remember, you could do all of this by phone. So it doesn't matter where you're at in the country. You can hire KSDT. They're one of the top 200 firms by Forbes in the country. So you are, and they also have a crypto department. So if you're a crypto investor like I am, they've got a crypto department. Yoandri will take care of you there. Yoandri's a good dude, man. He knows his crypto stuff and can help you. Use that QR code. If not, call him 305-670-3370. Go to ksdtcpa.com. All right, let's see. We got Knight. Thank you for the super chat. Again, it was a positive outlook on Tua's video from Nick. Okay, all right, I'll check it out. True Fin Fan says also, thank you for the love. I double your sentiment on these dumb fans. Yeah, going after Riley is ridiculous. True Fin Fan also, another super chat. Thank you, sir. We're surrounded by the fake bandwagon fans. Exactly. It's just, it's gross. And Isais, thank you, sir. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show at Cash App or Venmo. And you can also make a Bitcoin donation. And my man Isais, thank you, sir. He made a Bitcoin donation. Appreciate you. Thank you. We got more donations also on Venmo from Hateful Steve. Boy, Hateful Steve, my God. Woo. Man, that man is butt hurt in a big-time way. All right, here we go. Let's get ready for hour number 2. And Manny Navarro and our Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Canes Wear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Canes Wear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Canes Wear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Canes Wear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
Now we're ready. There he is, locked and loaded. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Feeling great, oh. Got the spring game tonight. Hoping to stay dry as I venture into Fort Lauderdale. But we will see. Hopefully the everything goes off without a hitch tonight.
You have your floaties with you.
I got my floaties with me. I'm going to bring my canoe. Everything needed to survive tonight's venture into Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. All right. Well, then you should be fine. Now, rumor has it this is your last day with the Athletic because you are now the Cavender Twins agent now in WWE. Yeah. Is that true?
That's correct. I'll be leaving to represent them. I'll actually be involved in a few of the matches as sort of like a Lady Elizabeth, but the male version. You know, I'm going to be doing some of that stuff.
Are the Cavender Twins? This is a subject nobody has talked about here in town. Are they the greatest business athletes you have ever met in your life in South Florida history?
Certainly from a non-professional level, right? From collegiate. Yeah, absolutely. I think without question.
Barry, Memorial, you name it, every college in town, okay? Have you ever met a more savvy a pair of athletes ever than the Cavender Twins?
It's hard to find one, to be honest. And I remember when they first came into town, John Reese had thrown a big bash over where the old Miami Herald building used to stand, and it was to sort of get all of the Life Wallet athletes together. And I remember they walked into this private little event, and I'm like, is that the Cavender Twins? Like you're like starstruck a little bit, right? Like, who are these girls? Right. And ever since they've set foot in Miami, man, it's been nothing but great for them. And now their careers are just beginning to take off, man. I mean, the most important thing in life now, it seems like it's more famous it's more important to be famous just for being famous, right? I think that's if you could do that, if you've got a following, You are made in life.
Right. And to their credit, I'm so impressed because they're so in control of
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing. And
Right.
they are dictating, kind of like what I would love for Bam Adebayo to do every night, kind of, dictate will. The
Right.
Captain Twins impose their business will on everyone. And to me, it's so impressive because the basketball season ends, brother, and they're transitioning right away to WWE. And it's like, I'm just I'm blown away, dude. I'm blown away with the following, the amount of sponsors that they have, the way they carry themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's the other thing, that when you're that famous and you have all those people following you and all that, it's so easy to get tripped up and all that stuff. And brother, they ride that line perfectly, man. They know how to promote themselves. They know how to be sexy at the same time to sell themselves, but
Right.
still do it in a classy fashion and all those kind of things. I just they're really smart, man. I'm blown away I'm blown away by the maturity of their of their of who they are, the maturity in the way that they've carried themselves. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and I think it just goes back to their parenting, the father, being a smart guy, knowing how teaching them the ropes early, and then and the girls wanting that lifestyle, right, and wanting to accept it because some of them, you deal with a lot of criticism, a lot of haters in this world, and as beautiful as both of them are, and as marketable as both of them are, that they don't have. Not everybody's a fan, right? Somebody out there is I'm sure saying negative things about them, and to deal with that sort of public space at a young age, because they've been doing this a long time now. This isn't like they
Oh,
just came to Miami and did this. They were doing this out in California when they were playing out there. So I think that takes a special person to be able to handle all that.
shit, they were what, on Good Morning America or some shit yesterday or the day
Yep.
before?
Yep.
Like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
They're all over the place, man. People want to know about them. It's. I mean, they really are like the Kardashians of sports. They really become that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Except no sluttiness. Anyway, let's do spring football. What are you looking forward to? Tell the fan that is going to go watch the practices. What should they be looking for? What is Manny Navarro looking for?
Well, I think the one thing I always look for in the spring game is the transfers, right? How do they look? How are those guys sort of carrying on? How do they fit in? Do they look like they're a step ahead of the guys that were previously here? Do they look like they just sort of fit in? I think the freshmen, there's obviously a lot of them that got on the campus early, 15 of them. Francis Mauigoa at right tackle, Ray Joseph at wide receiver, Sam Okunlola, the other offensive tackle. Those guys on offense, I want to see because they have a chance to play this year. They have a chance to be, impactful freshmen. And then I would say on the defensive side of the ball, Ruben Bain, he's had an opportunity to get a lot of snaps at defensive end. He moves inside sometimes. I want to see how he's utilized. I want to see if he's getting first team reps. Mario Cristobal talked about it yesterday that he's going to play a lot of 1-versus-1s. In the past, we've seen first team guys on offense go against second team guys on defense or third team guys, and that's how they put up all their numbers. I want to see the first team guys versus the first team guys tonight a lot, and that's going to be interesting and fun to watch in this. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I think, again, I reiterate this every time I talk about Miami because I don't know who's tuning in when, but there's a lot of guys out. James Williams is out. Leonard Taylor is out. A lot of the better players on defense are not participating in this scrimmage. Obviously, Cam Kitchens he'll be out there, but you're going to get a chance to see a lot of younger guys, especially with the first team on defense, get some reps. And I'm interested to see how they hold their weight because to me, when I look at this team, I know this is crazy considering how poor they were on offense last year. I'm more worried about the defense than I am the offense going into the season. I think there's some holes at cornerback. I think there's holes at defensive tackle. I think the offensive line will be better. I think Tyler Van Dyke is going to be effective, even if he doesn't have a boatload of amazing receivers right now. I think he's going to be able to throw the football and have some success with the offense Shannon Dawson is running. So I guess for me, the bigger concern is defense and how much depth do they have at certain positions.
How about backup quarterback? How's that going to be handled?
Well, Jakari Brown is taking the bulk of the second team snaps in most of the practices, from what I've been told.
Oh,
So we're
no red shirting for him.
no red shirting for him at all. No, I mean I think he's the number 2 guy right now. I know Emory Williams. Everybody's excited about him, and he may very well be the heir apparent when Tyler is done. From now until next year is a long time for Emory Williams to develop and to see in which direction this offense goes, what works and doesn't work. But I think for right now, Jakari Brown, just like Jake Garcia was a year ago, he's the number 2 guy, and so I think he'll take the bulk of the second team reps. But we'll see some of Emory Williams, and we'll see what he looks like, and if he's a better fit for what they want to do with this offense.
What have you seen from Jakari, or what are you hearing about him?
I think Jakari look. His whole thing is consistency. Okay, he can make throws deep down the field. He's got the arm strength. He can make the in between throws. He's shown that. The problem is consistency with him. Right? There's 1 minute where he puts the ball on the money, and the next minute it's sailing 10 feet over a guy's head, or he doesn't know how to really put the touch on it enough. And he talked about that this spring, that he's really worked on trying to perfect his touch. Not having to throw something hard every single time he lets it out of his hand. And again, he's the special talent in my mind of all the quarterbacks at Miami, because he's so damn athletic. I mean, if you can get a guy who's like Cam Newton, who can actually throw the football and be consistent, then you've got something really special at that position. But
it's trophy guy if you could do that, bro.
Exactly. And we know Tyler's not a runner. We know Emory Williams isn't a runner. But the dual threat guys in college football, those are the guys that can take you places, that can really. I mean, De'Aaron King, we saw it with Miami a few years ago, right? When they got off to that great start, when they were 8-1, it was because De'Aaron King was dangerous back there. He could beat you with his arm and his legs. And so I think that's obviously the next frontier with Miami. But look, Shannon Dawson's.
We've watched the Florida State kid get better and better, so hopefully Jakari can kind of do the same thing, improve year to year, because Travis now has put himself in the Heisman Trophy race this year.
And the one thing I'll say about Jakari is the kid has a great attitude. I've come across a lot of quarterbacks in this business, especially at Miami the last few years, who don't always have the greatest of attitudes, right? Who don't always have the kind of focus that they necessarily need to have. And I think Jakari, I remember going out to a workout for TVD where he's working out with Malik Rozier, and he's out there getting a ton of reps, and Jakari Brown is out there too, because he wants to get better. And this is all in the offseason, the summer and springtime. He's really focused and zeroed in on improving. And so I think, that's a good thing for Miami. He wants to be the leader of this team in the future. And so hopefully he gets there. Hopefully he develops that consistency, and Shannon Dawson brings out the best in him.
All right. So besides spring game, what else are you working on The Athletic so folks can check you out?
Well, we just put out a Q&A mailbag. Grace Rayner and I did. We put that out 2 days ago, I think, or yesterday. And I answered one of the questions about the transfers, the most impactful transfers in the conference. And I actually have 2 Hurricanes in the top 5 for the ACC. And one of them is center Matt Lee, who I rated number 2 of all the transfers that have come into the conference. I know there's been some quarterbacks. There's some really good DBs that have moved around. Fentrell Cypress is at Florida State. He was an All-ACC cornerback last year, but I really think Matt Lee, the influence that he is going to have for Miami at center, is going to be huge. And Javian Cohen, the left guard who they got out of Alabama, I have him 5th. But there's a lot to read on the Athletic website. I already did my spring takeaways basically from all the practices. That's up there to read, and I'll have some coverage obviously tonight from the spring game, and then I'll be at the OT7 7-on-7 event in Orlando. We're going to have a lot of recruits. Recruiting is going to heat up here now that spring football is over and done with. Between that and the transfer portal, which opens on Saturday, there'll be a lot of transactional type movement, and we'll start to see Miami start to pick up some steam, I think, on the recruiting trail.
All right, catch Manny tonight, because, he went to cover a football practice and a water polo game broke out.
Yes, that may happen tonight again. I'm really hoping that's not the case.
Just saying, you think you're going to watch football, surprised if you see a whole bunch of dudes just playing water polo in Fort Lauderdale. I'm just saying,
Hopefully,
And floating with the helmet and the pads and the, that's going to be hard. That's a lot to write about right there, because that's going to, whatever talent can stay floating with the pads and the helmet and still score, that's the keeper right there.
All right, I'm looking forward to my wet football match tonight, brother.
Yeah. May the good swim be yours, and make sure you park the car by the closest pier.
Yes, that's the goal. This and bring the canoe in as close as possible to the entrance of the stadium. Yeah.
Don't find a parking space, find a pier, and you'll be fine.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. All right, be good. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. Take care.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right. By the way, those of you here in South Florida and you have gone through some rough patches here with the rain the last couple of days, do not call your insurance company. Call Welton Rayom. Okay? They will call the insurance company for you. Welton Rayom will send out their adjusters to your home to make sure, so that way when the adjusters come out for the insurance company, Welton Rayom's adjusters straighten their asses out. Okay? I'm telling you, because I went through it with Progressive Insurance. They tried to screw us over, and Welton Rayom crushed them. Okay? Got 5 times what Progressive was offering, because they weren't even willing to fix what was broken and fix it the right way. It was disgraceful. All of these insurance companies, they don't care about you. They care about collecting your premium. But then when they have to pay, it's hell. Okay, so call Welton Rayom, call the law office that will fight for you anywhere in Florida. You can call them. But I mean, here in South Florida, we've had so much rain. I know there's a ton of you dealing with water damage, and now you're going to deal with your insurance companies, and you know how your insurance companies are. So call Welton Rayom. They will take care of you. 954-966-4646. Personal injury claims, commercial claims, insurance litigation, condo association claims, even criminal defense, personal injury, anything that's gone on right now, accidents, you name it, you call Welton Rayom and tell them that Big O sent you. I've known Jeff for a long, long time, Jeff and Dan. They do amazing work. They're great sponsors of our program. This is the time that you need Welton Rayom right now, folks. So if you're dealing with the frustrations right now of all that damage to your home or condo, please call them, because they're going to protect you and your rights. These insurance companies and their adjusters, they don't give a shit about you, okay? They're not looking out for what's best for you. Get the left tackle that is going to protect you. That is Welt and Rayom. That's your left and right tackle. How about that? Welton Rayom, folks. One of our listeners in Orlando hired Welton Rayom. So, free consultation, give them a ring. You don't even have to go to the office. So call them. Maybe you'll go to the office to go pick up your check. That's about it. Anyway, so Welton Rayom, great people. They'll take care of you. I promise you. All right. What else do we have here on the chat board going on? Riles has brought us that first championship with bringing Shaq to Miami, but with LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, that was more of the players who wanted to pair up and play. It still happened. Doesn't matter. Still happened. And, you know, and Riley's the one that puts Spo in place. I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing that. It's Riley and then Spo. And not only does he create a great franchise, but he develops excellent coaches. No. I'm not giving up on Riley, bro. I'm never giving up on Riley. I've always got Riley's back. But I'm the first to tell you, Riley's effed up here lately. He's lowered his standards. I'll tell you that. I have no problem saying that, but I also have no problem telling you that Sorry, I'm not the guy to blame. I want to fire Pat Riley for all of this. Am I unhappy with it? Yeah. Does he have to get better players with better character, toughness? Yeah. And hopefully he'll get back to that. For the Dolphins, I hope a few veteran O-line come available after the draft that we can go after. We're fishing maybe for guys so far. Or the guys that are out there right now are asking for too much money. I threw down some weed and feed on the yard, so I personally hope the rain continues for my yard. Damn, too extreme. I don't, bro. No, I mean, listen, you want to rain on my neighborhood, then I'm fine because we're not Broward. We're not flooded. And you want to rain some over here, okay, we'll take our share, but I don't want to see any more rain, bro. I mean, our friends, family members, our residents, our co-inhabitants of South Florida in Broward have gone through hell, man, especially the eastern part of Broward. It's unfair what's gone on, man. And this is the problem with climate change too. I know there's a bunch of you out there that don't want to believe in it, but this is the extremes. Oh, I need to get something off my chest for all you freaking idiots in the media. Okay? All right? Can my fellow, brothers and sisters in the media stop with something already? This is a 1 in 1,000 year storm. No, it's not, asshole. Are you watching? This happens in New York. This happens in Las Vegas, in Arizona, in Texas. All this year, it's happened all over the country. It's happening in all the other parts of the world, in Spain, in Italy. I watch it all the time. Did you not see what happened in California right now? Did you not see those, what are those supersonic storm, whatever the hell they call them? This is climate change. Now the weather patterns are way more extreme. They will be extreme dry, extreme heat, extreme rain, extreme storms, extreme tornadoes. Did you not see what just happened that went right across the country? Can we stop with the 1 in 1,000 when it's happening every week? And if you think this is the last time we're going to get pounded with 24 inches of rain in a day, you're an idiot. There's more of this to come, a lot more. Look at the weather patterns. We didn't have weather patterns like this 5-10 years ago. It wasn't like this. So stop already. Face it. This is this is the world we're going in. This is the world we live in. Weather is going to be way more violent than it's been in the past. Because the stuff that happens now did not happen 20 years ago, and that's because the climate has changed. We were never attacked this way with a lot of the shit that's gone on. And then you add rising sea levels. That's why Fort Lauderdale and Brickell, they can't take 2 inches of rain, much less 24 inches. Everybody knew that if you get a big storm and you live in that Fort Lauderdale, in the eastern part of Fort Lauderdale, you're screwed. You're so low there that the water is just going to, and it's only going to get worse for those residents in that area because water levels are only rising. They're not going down. So this 1 in 1,000 year storm, it's so freaking ignorant to keep saying that. And they say it all over the place. Just look around you. It's happening all the damn time and everywhere, all over the world. Massive rains, massive floods, flash floods. Our freaking deserts are suffering flash floods. Deserts. You're like in the middle of the desert, and here comes a flash flood that we just had one a couple months ago that stranded a whole bunch of people in these parks out there in the middle of the desert. Like they got caught by surprise because that's the way it is now. It's going to be way more violent and it's going to be way more sudden. 1 in 1,000. I feel like smacking people every time they say that shit. I'll smack you so hard you're going to go, wow, that's a 1 in 1,000 smack. Anyway, let's see. I don't know why people have a hard time saying Pat has had a few down years over the last 7 years, but at the same time acknowledge the good he's done for the franchise, the exceptional he's been for the franchise. Brother, our franchise is one of the best in all of pro sports. I love Riley, man. I'm a Riley guy. So it's just the way it is. I'm not. You're not going to get me to say fire Riley. You're not going to get me to say Riley stepped down. You're not going to get me to say that the Harrisons need to sell. But I'll say, Mickey, I don't want to hear about luxury tax anymore. I'm tired of hearing about that. I don't want to hear billionaires cry poor. I'm sorry. That's a terrible look. Terrible look when you're asking all the hardworking people to go buy your tickets. You know, so no, I'm not doing that. And Riley, he's got to acknowledge that the kind of player he's bringing in is not really a Pat Riley type player anymore. Hard nose, tough nose, grinded out player, son of a bitch, you know, because all of Riley's players, they have an edge to them. And these guys, there's no edge here. Only Butler has the edge. Nobody else has the edge. Nobody. So, let's see. Jesus is coming back. That's why. He's swimming in. Big O will deal with you in a bit. I don't know what happened. What cult am I in? I don't know. What cult are you in, Tua? Fans get showered, dressed, and a couple of puffs before work. That's it. Enjoy the puff. Oh, could Jay Crowder have helped this team? A little bit, but overall, no. If Bam, you know, that when Bam came out and on the press conference, oh, you got to give me the ball. You know, we got to figure out a way to get me the ball more. It's like, bro, who are you? Aren't you like supposed to be the guy? Well, tell them in the first couple minutes of the goddamn game. Impose your will. And Ira's right. Bam is such a decent human being, such a great dude that maybe he's too nice. See, that's what I love about Wade. Wade's nice. He's got that baby face. He's got that smile. But once he got on the court, he wanted to cut your freaking heart out, bro. When Wade got on the court, he was a son of a bitch. So he could turn that switch on and off. And that's what I love about him. Like Steph Curry is, you know, he's a nice man off the court. He looks like a great family guy. He looks like a super decent human being. You know, they're everything to like. But then when he gets on the court, he wants to cut your freaking heart off. And that's kind of the difference. I don't see that in Bam. I don't see all of a sudden when you get on the court, yo, dude, come on, be an SOB. Like Zoe wasn't necessarily very how would I phrase it? He wasn't necessarily Mr. Friendly off the court. Okay? Super decent guy, great human being, all that stuff. Aces, where we're talking about a great person. But for us media guys, you kind of had to like walk on eggshells around Zoe, you know what I'm saying? And so that's who he was off the court and on the court. And on the court, he became an even bigger SOB off the court. But that's who he was. That's how he was wired. And to me, that's the problem I see with the Heat right now, with this organization overall. When I look at their players, they got too many nice kids. They don't got sons of bitches. And that's what you need. You need SOBs. And there aren't any SOBs on this team except for Jimmy. And that's really your problem. Hopefully he'll fix it. Hopefully he'll figure out what the hell they need to do. Phil Neville needs to get fired. Oh man, I'm just not ready to say that yet because the injury was huge to Gregory for them. That really like hurts their defense in a big time way. And then the forward that they signed, you're missing Pozuelo, which that's the front office decision. You know, like they're missing him big time. That was a bad decision not to bring back Pozuelo. I don't know what the hell the deal was there, but that was a bad decision. And the guy you did sign, what's his name? He doesn't look like he's come back from that knee injury. I forgot his name. I'm brain farting. I got to tell you something. I don't know how much Neville, but some of the front office decisions are not working out right now for Chris Henderson. So I'm not too quick to lay it on Neville. And I'm not here to get rid of Henderson or Neville or anything, but I think they made some decisions that were bad. But now, hey, listen, if they can somehow win a couple games, keep it afloat, and they do get Busquets and Messi, you'll forget about all that shit after. Don't worry about it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Lenny says Bam just doesn't have that killer mentality. That's why he's a super high level role player, a third option. That's what I call him, a super role player. That's been my nickname for Bam because he just doesn't show me star quality. You know? Unlike Andy Behrens. Andy Behrens is all about star quality. Let's start hour number 3 we're into hour number 2 actually. And let's get to our Sports Grill, Miami Dolphins, and NFL report.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner, Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
While the NFL plans for the 2023 season, the Big O Radio Show keeps you informed by tracking everything from free agency, trades, draft, and all the news you can handle. It's the SportsGrill.com Dolphins and NFL Draft Report with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski.
Apologies, I think I said Andy Behrens. I meant Scott Pianowski there. My bad there. Scotty, good morning, actually. How you doing, my friend? You doing good?
I'm doing great. Yeah, you're going to have to sell for me today. It's a downgrade from Behrens, but I'll do my best.
We all want to be Andy Behrens when we grow up, right? Isn't that the truth?
That guy's ridiculous. You know, we would meet for Yahoo meetings, and we would go out to dinner and have a couple of adult beverages, and everybody would wake up the next day a little worse for wear, except for Andy, who would go out and run like 6 miles. I mean, that guy, and you know what? He's the nicest guy in the world, too. I can't imagine anybody meeting him and not liking Andy Behrens. Just a super dude.
God, man, Andy's money, bro. God, he's awesome. I mean, ever since I got to know you guys, I don't know, how long have we been doing this shit now? 7, 8 years or some shit?
Feels like a decade to me. Yeah, sure.
It's pretty close to it because we were on 640 Sports when we first started all that stuff, and then I went to QAM, and then now obviously doing this. So it's been a while, and it's been nothing but pure class. You and Andy, so it's been a good thing, and I appreciate your friendship because what people don't realize is first couple of years you guys would come on every week on the house, and I fought to get you guys sponsors at QAM, and I finally got the cheap bastards to do something. And then obviously when I'm doing this platform, I want all the media people to get paid. You know what I mean? That's the way I want it to be done, because that's the only way it should be done, because everybody abuses, and they want to ask you for interviews and all that. But I appreciate it that first couple years you guys would come on throughout the football season, and not for just pure friendship, and I appreciate that, bro.
You're very welcome. It goes two ways. You've been really good to us, and really life just comes down to your health your friends and your experiences. Everything else is just trivia. It doesn't matter how, what kind of car you drive or clothes you wear or whatever. It's all about your friends and experiences, and you got your health. And that's, and as you get older, you start learning, right? There are people who are worth keeping in your life and people who are worth not keeping in your life, and you got to shut the toxicity out and just focus on the good people. And I think that speaks to why we've all been doing this together so long, is because there's a friendship there and there's a loyalty there. And that, as you get older, you realize how important that is.
Damn right, bro. All right, so let's bounce around the league a little bit there. For fantasy fans, should they be concerned about Saquon Barkley? Because he doesn't want to sign the tender. And in a way, it's good for fantasy fans. They may own him because he doesn't risk injury in the offseason doing bullshit stuff. So that's good. But does it linger into training camp? Does this become a problem? And then all of a sudden, does it become a holdout? Do you not have Saquon Barkley on your team? So what do you tell fantasy fans out there how to handle this? And what do you tell Giants fans about that situation?
Well, I'd be really surprised if he held out any length of time. Other than Le'Veon Bell, most players are just too smart to hold out because they know that your clock is ticking, especially at running back, right? Their careers are so short. They don't have a year to waste. I don't know, again, who got in Le'Veon Bell's ear. Maybe he was just listening to his own ideas, but he wasted an age 28 season, which is a huge mistake. And then he came back and he was never the same because you just don't have – you have such a small window to do what you can do to earn what you can earn that you can't throw it away. So I'm not worried about Barkley not playing. What I am worried about is just the age. Once these running backs – the thing with running back windows is that it's never as open as long as you think, right? You think these guys are going to be great forever. And I know there are exceptions. Some guys age gracefully. Curtis Martin aged gracefully, and Frank Gore aged gracefully. And Adrian Peterson came back from an ACL blowout and had a great season, had an MVP season. And those are the outliers. Most guys, by the time they get to the second contract, they're compromised. And then all of a sudden, oh, wow, Shady McCoy's not good anymore. I think Dalvin Cook's really close to being not good anymore. The late 20s now. It used to be 30 was the death blow. The talent comes into the league younger now. And what I say a lot is it's not fun to play fantasy football or fantasy sports in general, but really fantasy football as an actuary, to be all driven by age and arcs and models and everything. But it's a smart way to do it. Once a running back gets on a second contract, I tread very carefully. I will tread very carefully with Saquon Barkley.
I think most NFL teams shouldn't be giving second contracts to running backs. In other words, I think running backs have gotten to the point where they're one contracts unless they're so special that, okay, he's worthy of a second contract. But, man, because you're now at a point where you're not really drafting them that high anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So very few are drafted high. So now that you're drafting them in the middle to late rounds, using them up for a contract and then getting rid of them, it's not a bad thing anymore. Or keeping them around for an extra year and just tag them, because now the tag number also has gone down too at the same time. So yeah, it's kind of weird how only a few running backs are worthy really of a second contract.
For sure. And again, I realize these guys are human beings, and I don't mean to treat them like commodities or Lego pieces or something, but teams have realized that the draft capital has changed now, right? I mean, we have a running back prospect who's one of the most exciting in years, and people talk about, well, how late in the first round is he going to go? In the old days, he would have been a top 5 pick. People would have been like debating, oh, should we take John Richardson number 1? I mean, it's not going to happen. Robinson number 1. Not going to happen anymore because teams have realized they can fill the position inexpensively, and they can fill the position with a platoon, and guys do different things well, and they share the workload, and that's become the model now, right? Yeah, look at Kansas City and Philadelphia just played in the Super Bowl. Philadelphia let Miles Sanders walk. They replaced him with Rashad Penny. They thought it made more sense financially. The Chiefs made the big mistake of taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, and there's nothing special about him. They have different guys. They've learned now that you can approach the position inexpensively.
What was Pacheco, 6th or 7th round or some shit like that?
7th round, right? I was trying to think of Pacheco's name. Yeah, why they gave him Tyreek Hill's number? It's just not right. I mean, let Tyreek Hill's Kansas City career breathe for a moment. And nobody, you guys know this as well as anybody. I mean, Tyreek Hill's he's a unicorn. He is one of one. He is one of those guys that every time he's on the field, doesn't matter. Tyreek Hill has some games where he doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he influences the game because every play. Randy Moss was the guy who changed the rules, right? Randy Moss was the guy who what is defense now? It's not allowing an 80-yard touchdown to Randy Moss on every play, and that's what Tyreek Hill does. Deshaun Jackson was a little bit like that, although not anywhere near the level of a Moss or a Hill, who are both, Moss is a Hall of Famer, and I think Hill's going there too, no matter how much longer he plays, and that's a story that's kind of silly. But Tyreek Hill, they give Pacheco's number to Tyreek Hill. Good luck. Try to be Tyreek Hill. There's only one of those guys. He doesn't play here anymore.
All right, so Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham. Couple questions here for you. One, over and under 7 touchdowns this season. 2, how do you handle this as a fantasy player when you look at Odell Beckham? He is so unreliable because he does break down. Lamar Jackson still has not signed his tender, and he doesn't have a long-term contract in place, and I don't know if we're going to actually have a holdout or not here. So how should fantasy fans look at that? And again, over and under 7 touchdowns, Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham.
Easy under for me. I have an expression that once the cheese goes bad, don't bet on the cheese going good again. And I just think the cheese has gone bad with Beckham between injuries, between motivations. He's got kind of a mercurial personality. It's been so long since he's been a dynamic player. And look, there are some people, I'll admit, I could not do this. Okay. If I was in a position to earn all sorts of money as an athlete, as a commodity, as a writer, I would need somebody to handle the legal part of it. I would need somebody to haggle with the people to try to get the money that I felt I was earned. Lamar Jackson needs an agent. I think Lamar Jackson's getting some really bad advice from Lamar Jackson. And again, there are some people, I know Larry Tunsil's been his own agent. He's gotten paid. Some people can handle it. Some people can compartmentalize it. Some guys don't take it personally. I don't think Jackson's that guy.
Yeah, but QB contract is so much more complicated than
an
offensive.
That's a great point.
And that to me is the problem, because he's going off of his initial contract and then what somebody else is getting paid at tackle, and then he can just kind of go by that number. And I'm sure he's actually screwing himself one way or another with some kind of incentives that he doesn't realize.
Oh, for sure. And here's the other thing too, Lamar. If you announce, you know what, I think I need representation, you're going to get an offer from every major agent, and you can take the lowest price if you want. You don't have to give up that much money. People will line up to represent you because they realize how much you're worth. Let somebody else do the dirty work. You'll sleep so much better at night. And you know what? And here's the thing. What you pay your agent is going to be couch money. You won't even miss it. It will not in any way affect the life you want to lead, whatever you want to do. It's that line from Wall Street. How many motorboats can you water ski behind?
This tells me Lamar Jackson sucks at tipping. Seriously. Like, how cheap can you be that you're not willing to give up 1% to an agent who's going to do and actually put together the most important contract of your entire life? Why would you not allow a professional who is built to do this, who is proven to do this? Because like you just said, when you say you need, services, the best of the best are going to line up and say, we would love to represent you. And these are proven people, bro, whether it's CAA or Rosenhaus or Tom Condon or whatever. All these people, Lee Steinberg, these are all people shit for 20, 30 years, bro. What's wrong with you? And if you're that cheap, I wonder how cheap are you with other things too at the same time, because it's so ridiculous that you would be that cheap to do this. That's how silly this is.
Yeah, maybe he's just misguided. Just some things just aren't worth it to me. Like, as I got older, I thought, I hate shoveling snow, so I have somebody do it. I have somebody do my lawn care now. It's not worth it to me. The guy's affordable. I like him. I'm done pushing a lawnmower. Those days are over.
Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. My wife said, "Oh, we got to fix this." Okay, I'll call somebody.
Sure.
Well, did you try? No, because that's not what I do. It's not who I am. I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to make it worse. That's not who I am.
Yeah, I fix fantasy rosters. I don't fix something broken in the kitchen. I'm not a plumber. I'm never going to be a plumber. I accept it. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. And fixing things around the house, not my skill set.
Yeah, and I'm not the dude that's going to try to start learning and become Mr. Tools now all of a sudden. No, bro, that's not who I am. I'm going to make it worse. So let me go get a professional that does this for a living.
For sure.
You them to actually do it. It really baffles me. Fantasy players, how are you handling the Lamar Jackson thing now? One for a keeper league, and two for draft wise. How should they be viewing this Lamar Jackson situation?
I'm concerned about it. I mean, I realize it's to some degree apples and oranges, but look how poorly Deshaun Watson played after a holdout, after a long time away. Players need reps. Players need to be, certain parts of the game need to be exercised. That need to be sharp, and all he's doing right now is haggling and not playing, and all this bad water. And, then they will give you permission to seek out a trade, but then how much are they going to have to give up? That's all a sham. Because what team is going to say, okay, we'll give you the world, and then we'll have to give the world to Baltimore? I mean, look at the silly standoff with the Jets and the Packers, right? The Packers need to be out of the Aaron Rodgers business. The Jets badly need a quarterback. We know Zach Wilson's not the guy. We know Mike White's not the guy. And they can't get a deal done. I almost wish that nothing gets done. It's like, you know what? Both of you be spiteful, So Aaron Rodgers don't play, and the Packers don't get anything for him, and the Jets, enjoy Zach Wilson, enjoy wasting one of the best rosters in the NFL because you can't get it done. It's just, fine. Everybody be unhappy.
But by the way, Jets are still holding out. I mean, the Packers are still holding out for that first rounder. And word has it that they can split the cap number, the $40 million, into two parts in June. So that's kind of why the Packers are kind of taking their time, with all of this. But here's my problem. If you're the Jets and that they could split it in June, so they're going to split it up, and that means they'll take a $20 million hit this year and another $20 million hit next year if they keep them. Well, if you're the Jets and this, don't you just wait for them to do that? And if they do want to split, that's 20 less million you're going to take.
Right. Although what you do miss is all the offseason workouts, right? I mean, when you get a new quarterback in, you get all the terminology. I realize they have his coordinator, so that maybe that won't be that big of a hurdle. But these guys need reps. He needs to throw passes to Garrett Wilson, right? He needs to find a place to live. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen. And I don't like cramming it in I don't like rushing somebody in at the end of a process. I like them to be involved in spring stuff. So I would hope it gets done around the draft, but who knows? These two teams are stubborn. I want to say, fine. The Jets. When have the Jets last really been relevant? Right? I mean, they haven't been to a Super Bowl since the time I've been alive. Super Bowl III predates me.
I would imagine when they went to those back-to-back AFC Championship games. I guess that's the most relevant in. The Mark Sanchez years.
The Sanchez years, yes. The Rex Ryan years. Very good defense. Yeah. And Sanchez, they kind of made the best of a mediocre quarterback.
Well, they had a running game, they had a line, and they had a defense. If they would have had the quarterback, they could win a title. That team would have been able to win a title because they had all the other ingredients. They had a running game, they had a very good offensive line, and then they had a very good defense.
Yep. Again, much like this team, right? Where the 2 to 53 is great, but they didn't have the one piece at the front. And still one of the most shocking upsets I ever saw in 2010, which I thought was the best Patriots team that didn't make the Super Bowl. They had demolished the Jets on Monday Night Football 45-3. And then they played about 6 weeks later in the playoffs, and the Jets beat them very much the way the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. The interior rush with 4. They got under Brady's feet. It's like, wait a minute, these guys just played in November. It was 45-3. And it felt like it was 70-0. I mean, it was such a beatdown. But Rex Ryan, I don't think he was a long-term coach, but he was a good coach for them in the short term. And as you said, that was a very, very deep roster. That is the right answer, by the way. That is the last time the Jets were relevant. They get to the back-to-back AFC Championship games. And again, if they had solved quarterback, they also beat Peyton Manning in that mix too. They beat Brady and Manning in back-to-back seasons.
This sport is a bitch because you will get your window, and then
there you go. That's the whole point. That's the lesson. That's the lesson today.
The Brady thing is a complete freakish thing that happened.
No, you can't chase that. It's unrealistic to think you're ever going to find that. You're getting back to Barkley, whether it's Barkley, whether it's Jackson. We're talking about the Jets roster. You're right. That's the whole lesson here. Whether you're an NFL fan, you're a fantasy player, the window is shorter than you think. So, what's that line in Almost Famous? You got to take what you can, when you can, while you can, and you got to get it now. Okay.
Yeah.
You're the New York Jets. You get a great roster. You get this quarterback thing solved now because you're not going to have these guys. You know what's going to happen? These guys, they're going to get better. Their contracts are going to expire. They're going to want to get paid. You're going to be, oh, wow. Well, there's this thing called the salary cap. We can't keep everybody because somebody else wants to overpay for all these guys. You just had the rookie of the year on both sides of the ball. You need to take it. You need to do it right now because there's no guarantee this team will be good in 2 or 3 years. It's just the way the NFL is.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. All right. What do you got going on Yahoo, my friend, so folks can check you out?
A lot of fantasy baseball right now. And, of course, the NFL draft is next week. So fantasy football will be open for business very soon. I'm actually working on my rankings right now. And we're chugging away with Matt Harmon on the Fantasy Football Forecast, our Yahoo podcast. He's talking to all sorts of people, both in-house, out-house, draft, free agency, all this roster stuff going on, the teams that are going to influence the draft. So we know the NFL is a 12-month sport. We hope you hang out with us at Yahoo Sports. And again, our fantasy game will be open very, very soon. Our engineers are working on it right now. So if you're eager to draft, you'll be able to do it pretty darn soon.
There you go. Good stuff as always. And follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski. Scotty, have a great weekend, my friend. We'll catch up next Friday. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Be good.
You got it.
This is the SportsGrill.com Dolphins and NFL Draft Report with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Cheer on your favorite South Florida sports team at SportsGrill.com. With 8 great locations, go to SportsGrill.com and find a slice of sports heaven.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at Caneswear.com or InterMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right, there you go. All right, we thank Scott Pianowski for joining us here on Le Programme. Marlins, by the way, back in action tonight against the D-backs at Lone Depot Park. Madison Bumgarner taking on Trevor Rogers. You know, Trevor has not really regained that form from a couple of years ago when he was when he was kind of like showing us like, yo, man, this young kid looks like he's got some stuff. He looks pretty good. And then last year he had a shit season. And so far he's 0-2 with a 6 ERA. And he has just not been able to get any of the consistency he had 2 years ago, man. I don't know if he'll be able to get it done. Inter Miami, by the way, is off this week. Next week, they will visit Houston. So no soccer tomorrow. We'll see what happens tonight. The Miami Heat taking on the Bulls. And the Heat are favored by 5.5. I don't know what the hell Vegas is thinking. And I don't have a lot of hope for the Heat, folks. I love them, but I can't tell you that I'm expecting them to go out there and tear it up and, you know, have the kind of confidence that I've normally had in them. I just don't. Not in this team. I don't have any confidence whatsoever. Got a little dip in the crypto market right now because Bitcoin was like at 30,600, 700, 800. Now it's at 30,300. So it went down a little bit. It's down 0.5%. Ethereum is up 3%. It's over 2,000. It's at 2,061. So that's good stuff. The market, by the way, for those of you that invest a little in the market, The Dow Jones is down 213 points. The S&P is down 18.5 points, and NASDAQ is down about a half a point going on in the market. So we got that going on. You can also send in any questions, any comments there on the chat board, on our Twitter page at Big O Show. As always, you can follow us there at Big O Show on Twitter. A lot of things to follow, and you can keep up with a bunch of stuff also going on. Let me see what we got. Oh, and by the way, you can make a donation and send a question or a comment in through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. And you can also make a Bitcoin donation also through Cash App or Venmo, which we always appreciate that. And we tell you that because we get 100% of the donation there on YouTube. They take 30% away, but we still appreciate the donations on YouTube if that's the way you do it. What else do we have on the chat board? Bam is already a spoiled player, says Too Extreme. He expects everything to be given to him. Nope. Shut your mouth. Get out there, earn your stats, and play how you're being paid to play. The Heat have too many soft players. It's a soft team. It's a soft team. Can't argue with Too Extreme on that. Packers holding up the Jets trade. NFL not a fan of Rodgers. Well, a lot of people aren't a fan of Rodgers. EJ Barro. Trust could be mitigated by having someone he trusts recommend an agent, then seek therapy. Oh, man. That kid, Lamar, is completely lost. Oh, would you trade Bam for 3 first-round picks? In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Yeah. Did Vegas forget the Heat's third quarter? There is no benefit at all for the Heat to make the playoffs this year. They will be better off for the future with that lottery pick. You know, Ray, really, no one can argue with your point. Seriously, they have no shot at doing anything in the playoffs. They got maxed out last year. Spo got the most he can get out of them. They are what they are. They're probably better off in the lottery. I know they only have a 2% chance of winning the number 1 pick, but what about if they end up in the top 3? It's probably better. Maybe they can add a dog. Lord knows they need it. The kennel is empty. There's only 1 dog in the kennel. Big O, I'm glad I invested properly so I never have to look at the short-term market performance at all. Exactly. When you DCA and you're playing the long-term game, that's because that's, you know, when I talk crypto, I always talk long-term because I'm not rich. I'm a working stiff, dude. I can't put thousands and thousands in the market or anything like that. I'm putting a couple dollars, maybe a 50, maybe 100 once in a blue moon or whatever, but I'm not, no, you know what I mean? So whatever I put in, I have to think long-term. You know, I'm not thinking anything that's short-term because I don't have that kind of money. If I did, boy, God, if I had that kind of money I mean, my portfolio is up 61% right now. 61%. And the bull run hasn't even started. Okay? The bull run hasn't really even started. And why? Because I bought it all the way down to the bottom. You know, because that's how you invest. You dollar cost average. You know, I got a buddy of mine that got into Bitcoin at 40. And when it went up to like, 67. And he bought it at 40 a couple times, I believe. And then it started to come back down. And once it passed 40 and got into the 30s, he never bought again because he was afraid because it was going down. But that's where he failed to make money. And if he would have, the stuff he had at 40 would already be in profit if he would have bought it at 16 and 18 and 19 and 20 and 22 and 25. He would have lowered all of that stuff he bought at 40 already. And he probably would be in the green already at 30. it's simple math. It's not really that difficult to figure it out. Dollar cost average, and it takes guts to buy things when they're going down. Because if you don't have the conviction, then you won't take advantage and you won't be able to maximize your investment. So you have the right attitude, my man. So Brandon says, oh my God, these people don't know hoops. Calling Bam a super role player is disrespectful. That's what he is, bro. He ain't a superstar. Okay? He's barely an all-star. Big O, have you had a chance to hear the new Metallica album? Not the album, but I did hear the 72 Seasons song, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Probably hear some of it live in Montreal in a couple months. The rest of the songs were dropped today. I'll check it out for sure. I mean, I love Metallica, so I'll check it out for sure. That's why you can save money by cutting on some of these things you waste and just invest. Amen. Amen. Last 2 years, I have gone to a fraction of the concerts that I normally go to. Okay. I mean, I normally would go to a lot, 70, 100 concerts in a year. And in the last 2 years, I've been to maybe 20 concerts. I haven't gone to a lot of concerts. That's a lot of concerts for some of you out there, 20 in 2 years. For me, that's nothing. That's like what I normally do in 2 or 3 months. Okay? I mean, seriously. And why did I do that? I used all the money that I would go to, a concert, I used it to invest instead the last couple of years. So, and especially the last 16 months that we've been in the, in the dip. So, but that's part of it, man. Top 3 center is barely an all-star. Is he a top 3 center? Jokic, Embiid, and I'm forgetting somebody here already. Let me see. No, he's not top 3. I don't think he's top 3. Who am I brain farting now? He's definitely not top 3 now that we think about it. I'm forgetting somebody right now. Who am I forgetting? Jokic, Embiid. Here, let me pull up the standings so maybe I can remember who am I missing. Because when he plays Embiid, he is like, Karl Anthony Towns is about the same dude, I would say. Whoa, hold on a second. While he doesn't have much of an offensive game, I don't know, but I just saw the guy in Atlanta embarrass Bam Adebayo. Clint Capella, and I wouldn't think that Clint Capella is better than Bam, but holy shit, he just kicked Bam's ass. I know I'm forgetting somebody that's pretty obvious. Don't know who it is now. One of you has to mention it for me. Dude for Milwaukee, no, but Giannis is not a center. Oh, you talk about like Lopez? He's a little older, at this point. Rudy Gobert just blocks shots and gets some rebounds. But Greek is not a center, bro. That's it. Cat would probably be the guy that might be better than Bam or just right there. And you know what? Now that you think about it, center isn't really a strong position anymore in the NBA. Here's where I'll reverse it for you. Okay? All right? When we talk about centers, all right? So let's just go back to when you usually had centers. So in the era of David Robinson and Olajuwon and Ewing, and I could just go on and on and on and talk about centers. during that time, Bam wouldn't even be in the top like 8 or 10. He wouldn't even be with Bill Laimbeer. You know what I mean? Like seriously, he wouldn't even be with he won't be with Robert Parrish. Like the problem is it's like the guy that said yesterday, "Hey, Oakland is one of the top 5 profiting teams." Well, of course they don't spend any money. Of course they're going to make profits. Well, of course Bam is going to be a top 5, top 7 center in the NBA because there are no centers. So, you know what I'm saying? The center position is dead. There aren't a lot of those guys. So Bam doesn't really have a lot of competition. But the few that are there kick his ass constantly. So, and that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. Okay? Embiid trashes his ass every time he gets him. He plays small when he faces real centers. So I'm in Portland. They're dreaming of trading for Bam to pair up with Dane. Problem is that's all they would want is Dane. There's nothing else that you could trade for Bam unless they give him a bunch of picks. You know? Maybe you can do that. Bam would be a 4 in those days. And my God, he would fall behind a whole bunch of 4s. Because there's the dog is not there, bro. There's not a dude that plays with an edge. So, yeah, I'm not sorry. I like Bam's talent. I like what he brings to the table. All of that. He's just not a frontline player. He's not a star. And he's proven that this year. After all that shit that they talked about in the offseason and he wanted to become this, that, the dude turned it off and ran out of gas in the second half of the season. So he's a nice guy. He's a great person. You have to separate the two. Unfortunately. You know? So what can I tell you? Bam isn't a first option, but he's a damn good second option. Nah, he's a third option. On a real team with stars, he's a third option, bro. At best, he's a third option. At best. He can't be a 1 or 2. You cannot be a 1 or 2 in this NBA if you can't impose your offensive will. So I disagree with that like 1,000%, Brandon. And Bam Adebayo cannot impose his offensive will. Plus, he's not even a three-point shooter. So, no, I'm sorry. Not in this league. In the 90s, he might be able to be a decent 2. Not a good one, a decent one. Not a great one, decent. I'd probably put him at 3. Shaq and Wade, he's 3, right? Wade, Bosh, and LeBron, he's 4, right? See what I'm saying? So when you have like the really good teams, the teams that are like championship teams, he's not a 2 in any of those teams. He'll be lucky to be a 3 on those teams. Why? Because you can't count on his offense. And it's not also it doesn't have the diversity it needs because you can't stretch. Yeah. So Bam, at best case scenario on a championship team, Bam is no better than a 3. If he's a 2, your team is not good enough. Oh, I'm sorry. That's where they're at now. And they're an 8th seed with Bam as the number 2. So then you're not a number 2, right? So those of you like Brandon that you say you're a number 2, you just answered your own question. See, the problem with some of you out there, I think you don't realize that Jimmy Butler's a number 2. On his best day. The best that Jimmy Butler has ever played, he's a 2. Doesn't matter. He's a 2 every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Why? Because he can't shoot threes. He doesn't. His game doesn't come easy. He's got to grind it out. In fact, let me tell you something. In a perfect world, you make Jimmy a 3 because you want your 1 and 2 to be really dynamic, really explosive offensively. Jimmy's kind of a, workhorse, a lunch pail guy. Defense, get to the line, drive to the hoop, but he's not the guy that's going to stroke, 4 threes in a quarter and make things easy for you and all that. Like in football, you want chunk plays. Well, in basketball, you want chunk points. He can't do that for you. On this team, at worst, he's a 2. But the fact that you have him as a 1, you screwed up. The fact that you put Bam as a 2, you screwed up again. And that's where Pat Riley needs to kind of pick it up. Because really, in a perfect world, Jimmy Butler's 2, Bam is 3, and you go find somebody that's better than both of them. Now you got yourself a championship squad because Bam now can be more of the super role player that he is instead of star that carries you. I mean, that's kind of been proven, right? Any of you out there that think he's a star, well, then why isn't he carrying you, dude? Why does he disappear? Kind of answered your question there. Bam has answered all your questions already, right in front of your face, of what he is and where he belongs in the pecking order. And he's no better than a 3 on a real championship team. At best, he can be a 3. He's probably better in a 4 role. But let's say, for shits and giggles, we'll give him 3. Okay? He can't be a 1 or a 2. He's proven that over and over again now. Proved it again this year. He can't be a 2. Just like Jimmy Butler can't be a 1. And if you have him as a 1, you did a poor job in your front office. I love Riley, but and this is consistent as hell. The day they acquired Jimmy Butler, I said, if you don't acquire somebody better than him, this trade will not end up paying off for you. And we've gotten a lot of entertainment out of it, but you didn't get the title. And that's what Riley wanted, so he can, walk out into the sunset and go to California and go retire on the beach. And that's it. So if we're honest with ourselves. But if you think, what's it called? Bam's a 1 or a 2, and you're watching him be a 2 and fail constantly, I can't help you anymore. So Kevin Duckworthless was underrated. Big Bob, that was my nickname for him. Kevin Duckworthless. I disagree with you, Big Bob, on that one. He was an underachiever. In fact, that Portland team, my God, what a bunch of choking dogs that Portland team was. They had a lot of talent on that team, bro. With Drexler and Kersey and Porter and all those guys and Cliff Robinson and all. Oh, shit, dude. Man, did that Portland team underachieve. They were loaded. They did a great job of drafting in those days in Portland. And Kevin Duckworthless, not a fan. Not a fan. Let's see. I never understood the infatuation with Bam outside of hope that he becomes a superstar, but he doesn't elevate a team, period. Nope, he doesn't. He doesn't elevate teams. He's a facilitator, not an elevator. Big O, if you're a half inch taller than Bam, he shrinks even more. Yeah, he does. He's no LeBam. So, are you saying Riley should retire? Are you listening to the show, EJ? Jimmy and Bam have a team full of scrubs around them and horrible roster construction. Bam would be a 3 to Book and KD. Wow, who would have thought? Yeah, but that's the problem with us in Heat Nation. We are not looking at reality, and we keep living in fantasy. Oh, we'll trade for Kevin Durant. You don't have the ammunition to trade for Kevin Durant. You never had it. And that's why you've never acquired him. And lately, you keep giving away all your picks, and that's why you won't have the ammunition to trade for Bradley Beal if he ever wanted to leave, or Dame Lillard if he ever wanted to leave. Other teams out there will have better offers, and that's the end of the story. And why? Riley and company have done a really bad job lately of mishandling their picks and signing certain players. And that's something that they've got to fix. So Riley screwed his retirement now. He's now going to need a couple of years to fix this mess before they can get back on track. And that'll be the interesting part of this offseason. Because if they just try to put lipstick on a pig, then that means Riley is not trying to clear house and reset because he doesn't want to take that time. And he's trying to cut corners and trying to get there. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. So all it's going to do is delay the process even more. You're not tearing the Band-Aid out. You're not ripping the scab off. And that's what this team needs. Rip the scab off. Trade everybody. Get picks for everybody and anybody that you can. Anybody and everybody is tradable. You made a mistake giving Jimmy Butler an extension. You made a mistake not trading Jimmy Butler in this trading deadline. You better not make the mistake and keep him for the next 3 years, because one of the reasons why you're in the play-in game, it's because Jimmy can't play a whole season anymore. And he'll never be able to play another whole season again. So you're not going to get 78, 79 games from him. So if you can't get 78 or 79 games, you're not going to climb up in the standings. If he's going to miss a quarter of the season or more from here on out, you're going to lose those games because your team is not good enough. So there's a lot of issues here, and they better fix them. That's all I got to say. So, anyway. By the way, they found Drake Bell. Drake and Josh missing. Northern Florida. Now, they didn't say how they found him, what condition or whatever, but, boy, they were worried about him. Saw that. But the Massachusetts Air National Guard, Jack Teixeira, can I ask, how did this scumbag get all that? How did he have access to all that secret information? And how was he getting away with posting all of this? We have these old geezer presidents that take documents home. We got these losers like a National Guard. I hope they put this Jack Teixeira kid in jail for the next 80 years and send a message. What a dumb son of a bitch. How does a punk like that, a 21-year-old Air National Guard punk, have access to all of that? And you want to see something really cool? Red Bull had they went up on a balloon and they elevated under the balloon, okay, a bicycle, those the BMX type of thing where they do stunts, and it's like a bowl, right? And it 2,000 feet in the air. The balloon is up in the air, and that bowl is hanging under the balloon, and that kid is on the bike doing stunts inside that bowl. Now, he's wearing a parachute, so just in case something happens tragically to the balloon or whatever, he can just dive out and hit the chute and whatever. But, man, dude, if you want, go look it up. Red Bull BMX balloon up in the air or whatever. And kid's got a pair of brass ones, bro. Big. Okay? Big. His name is Chris Kyle with a K. So maybe you could put BMX rider Chris Kyle, Kriss, Kyle, Kyle, and then put BMX balloon in air or whatever, and I'm sure it'll come out on YouTube. But it's a pretty cool video. Okay? These Red Bull people, they sponsor all of these wacky, crazy-ass stunts that they're constantly doing. And they just like they're these extreme dudes, man. And that BMX bike thing was badass, bro. Badass. I guess Red Bull really does give you wings. Well, yeah, bro. He had a backpack of wings just in case. But it's kind of cool, I gotta say. And that young man has the kind of balls that I'll never have. Oh man, I remember when we used to ride around neighborhoods looking for empty pools for our bikes or our skateboards. Now you had to find the round pools because the square ones you were screwed. Yeah, you couldn't skateboard on those. But man, when you can find a round like pool empty, oh, that was heaven. My money is the National Guard spy is going to Gitmo. He wish he was going to a normal prison. I don't know, but I hope he goes through hell for the rest of his life. Because, I mean, seriously, dude, what a freaking idiot you are. Yeah, we have presidents selling state secrets, Greenhorn accessing classified intel with a McLovin ID pass. Big O Bam needs that BMW kid has a pair. Yeah. That kid has a giant pair. You'll never catch me doing that. No, me neither, bro. I saw that and I was like, props to you, young man. You are one brave dude because there's no way I would do that at all. No freaking way. By the way, redrecover.com. We love talking about redrecover.com. Ed and the great people there at redrecover.com. Listen, they've got the hats going on. They got the hats in, approved by the FDA. See, they've got the new logo on it and everything. It's slick looking. You turn on the battery that you charge. There's the red light therapy. There you go. And it helps your hair grow. Okay. And by the way, helps your hair get thicker also. So for you ladies out there, even if maybe you're not balding, but you're thinning hair and all that, the red light therapy might be able to help you out, man. And if you're recently losing your hair like I am, I started to put on the hat and now I'm growing all my hair back, which is a pretty cool thing to see, actually. I'm not telling you it's going to help out everybody. There's chances that it may not help you. Listen, if your hair has been, balding and you've been, dead, the hair's been dead for 10, 20 years, the hat maybe won't work. I'm not saying it's impossible. Anything is possible. Anything can possibly happen. But if you are starting to bald in certain areas and you want to try to save it, go to redrecover.com. You will not see the hat right away on the website. Go to the contact us part of the website. Send them an email. Tell them that you heard it on the show, that you want to buy the hat, and check it out. And it's great for everybody because the ladies can use it also so their hair can be thicker. 15 minutes a day. I use it twice a day. I use it in the morning when I wake up, and then I use it before I go to sleep in the evenings. So I use it twice a day while I'm sitting there watching television, and there's no cable, So this battery, you just disconnect it, and then you charge it. And then after you're done charging, you connect it back, and that's it. And so you can put your hat on and walk around the house, work, whatever, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't get in the way. And they have the wraps for the dogs, too. So for big dogs and small dogs for the hips, a lot of dogs have issues with hips as they get older. If your dog is having issues with the hip, the red light therapy can really ease that pain, relieve it, maybe even make it completely go away. And you're going to notice the difference with your dog because they're going to be a lot happier. They're going to be moving around a lot better. And you're going to be happier because I know how it is. I've got 4 dogs. We treat them like our kids. And when our dogs are happy, we're happy. Okay? Because that's how dog owners are. We are not happy when our dogs are not happy. Okay? If they are hurting, we're hurting in a big time way. So redrecover.com can help out the dogs too. Go to the website, check it out, redrecover.com, and use our code Big O. You will get 10% off. There you go. Tyler Hero going to ball out. Well, let's hope. Let's hope. Trey Lance and Trey Young need to use that red recover hat. They're going bald. Yeah, no, let me tell you something. Trey Young could definitely use the red recover hat. Yeah. I didn't know Trey Lance was balding. I don't remember seeing much of Trey Lance's head, so I don't remember. But Trey Young, who's got a terrible mop of hair. Oh, my God. I don't know who has the worst do that I've seen in the NBA. It's either Trey Young, Steve Nash, or the other guy that beats actually Steve Nash. Shit, he played for the Utah Jazz. He sweated like a beast, not Pat Ewing, but he sweated like a beast, and he was a shooter, and his hair was like really greasy and like really ugly. Good shooter too, man. He played in the days with Malone and Stockton and those guys. I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, he also played for the Suns. God. White dude. No, not AK-47, not Kirilenko. He's a guard. God, what was his name? He had terrible hair. Maybe the worst. Jeff Hornacek. Nice job, Eric Storm. Fucking A, bro. Good job by you. Anyway, Jeff Hornacek. Oh, my God. You got to watch highlights or lowlights of Jeff Hornacek. And especially later in the game when he's all sweaty and his hair is greasy, hair is drooping, and he has to, like, sweep it over for a free throw and sweep the sweat over his eyes. Jeff Hornacek had some bad hair, bro. Like, really bad hair. I'm telling you. And Steve Nash, too. Steve Nash had terrible hair, bro. Oh, wow. That looked like he was lost. But Trey Young is right there with those guys. Trey Young has a terrible do, bro. It looks like a raggedy-ass hair hanging from his scalp. You know what I'm saying? It's a bad do, bro. Seriously. Terrible do. Brandon says, way before my time. Yes. Way before a lot of your times. Yikes. LOL. There were only not even 25. What are we talking about? By the way, I hope you guys are smashing the hell out of the like button. We need that. Make sure you smash the hell out of the like button. Very important. It helps us in a big time way. It gets the algorithms going. More people will find out about the show, and that's very, very important. Ginobili, yeah, he was bad, but he balled out and all that. Not like Steve Nash had this like lame ass greasy hair. Jeff Hornacek's hair was even worse. And then Trey Young. I'll go Trey Young third. Hornacek 1, Nash 2, Young 3. I'm going to go with worst natural do's. Okay? There's got to be somebody I'm forgetting that really had a really, really bad do. And I'm kind of forgetting. But those guys were right up there, bro. They are the worst of the worst. All right, folks, we are out of here. We are done. Sorry, I just don't really have that much left on the program. I don't really have a lot left to say. There really isn't a lot left on the show. We'll see what happens with the Heat and the Bulls. So tonight, hopefully they'll win. Hopefully they will advance and get embarrassed by the Bucks. Who knows? We will see you tomorrow. We thank Ira Winderman, Manny Navarro, Scott Pianowski, Cameron Wolf, Sean Stanley, the man that masters this program. We see you tomorrow. I'm going to see you Monday. Same time, same place, same bat channel. And folks, don't forget to call Welt and Rayom if you're dealing with all that water damage in Broward. Do not call that insurance company. Call Welt and Rayom first. They will call the insurance company for you.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane, Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.